Hi, it's Vicky with Amazing Wellness Life. I hope you are going to be creating your own amazing wellness life because you can do it. I did it. I lost 45 pounds and I'm on track to lose a few more because are we ever really happy? Anyway, I'm happy that I was able to do what I did, but I want to help you because today we're going to talk about low carb versus keto. I first heard about keto a few years ago and I did it all wrong. But I even lost weight. I still lost weight, even though I did it all wrong. So I want to save you from that because I found that the low keto and carb transition is just it's an easier path. So I want to help you if you're interested in maybe losing a few pounds or really just because you want to be healthier and feel better. Okay, so I also want to remind you, I'm not a doctor, I don't have a medical degree. Whenever you're changing anything like your diet or just really anything, you should have a conversation with your doctor just to make sure, because I don't know you and I don't know where you're at, but you know you. And so take this information and treat it as education to help you figure out. Because what I found was most of the doctors that I talked to basically just said, eat less and move more. I just wanted to let you know because there's so much information to cover. This is part one of a two-part video series. Today we're going to mostly focus on low carb. We will talk a little bit about keto. What I wanted to get across to you today is I don't know where you're starting. And so you need to think about where are you starting? Are you starting with the typical American diet? Are you like eating whatever you want? Or are you trying to cut back, but you don't know what to cut back? Maybe you're like, you've heard of the no white diet or whatever. It's like no white starches and all that stuff. Well, today we're going to unravel some of that mystery for you so that you can move forward with the choices that you're making about the foods that you eat. One of the questions I have been asked by other people is, what are the foods I'm supposed to eat? So let's talk about what you're not supposed to eat. Obviously, I don't want to insult your intelligence. You got to get rid of the cookies and the candy and, the cupcakes and all that stuff. And I will tell you, if you want to make changes in your life, you got to think about what has your journey been so far. Have you been overweight for a few months? Then your body's probably going to respond and bounce back pretty quickly. If you've been overweight for a year or two, take a little bit more. But if you literally, like me, I had been overweight for decades. And so it took a long time for my journey to understand what it was I needed to do, and also to understand that my body was adjusting to the changes that I was making. So I think that that is really important to know, that your body will make adjustments as you make changes with the choices you make with your foods and also your exercise, whatever kind of exercise you want to do. So someone told me once that the best exercise is the one that you will do. And I really believe that. I love to be out in nature. To me, there's just nothing better than a really long walk or a hike. If I could, I'd spend hours every day doing it. And sitting is the new smoking. So if you are sedentary and you're sitting a lot, like you have a desk job, or you just are out of shape and you just have been, sitting, and if you know that just moving more than you're moving now. So if now you're, taking short walks, think about maybe taking 2 short walks a day, especially after dinner. That is such a good time to do that. And my friend Lenny reminded me that there are some people that might be watching these videos that actually maybe can't move much at all because they've had an injury or they've been in a hospital or something like that. So if you're that person, I wish you well and I hope things can get better for you. And, any movement that you can do is great. So I put together this little chair chart it's something you can do in your chair if you want to improve your movement. So the standard American diet, the average diet people are eating out there, has between 250 plus carbs, if you're getting burgers and fries and, just all the different stuff. So another thing that I had never known before was that, because I always thought, a balanced diet, that's what your mom taught you how to do. That's what they taught you how to do in nutrition class. You got to have your meat, your vegetables, your starch, your fats, but very little fats. That was kind of the thing back when I was growing up. So things have changed so much. The new food pyramid reflects a better way of eating than it used to. Now they actually want you to be careful about carbohydrates, especially the starchy ones like refined carbs, like breads and pastas and all that stuff. They want you to be careful about that because what when you as soon as you eat a cracker or you eat pasta, your body turns it into glucose just as soon as it hits your bloodstream. It is glucose. What does that mean? It means it rises, your insulin level goes up when you have all this glucose or sugar in your bloodstream. Your insulin, your pancreas creates the insulin to come and sort of deal with the fact that, oh, there's elevated glucose in the blood. We can't have too much glucose in there, so it shoots out the insulin to go and help to help your cells be able to utilize the nutrients. The average standard American diet is eating 250 plus carbs a day. Insulin is a fat storage hormone, just as we've talked about before. And so what ends up happening sometimes is that fat storage hormone goes crazy and starts just pretty much storing everything that you're eating, especially if you're eating all the time. Like I remember, you get hungry and so you have a snack. Or, you have your meals, you have your 3 meals a day, and then you have usually a snack halfway between, or even more often than that. So all that snacking that we're doing to ourselves is just causing our blood sugar to never be under control. And so, if you could like and subscribe to my channel, that would be so helpful. I would really appreciate it so that more people can get this information and maybe it will help them. But anyway, in the near future, in the coming weeks, we're going to dive deep into a lot of different things. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to talk about insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance in the future, but just not today. There's just too much information to cover. So let's talk about with low carbohydrate, and that is really 130 down to 50 is considered a low carb diet. So that's like the definition. A ketogenic diet is between 20, 30, 40, or 50 carbs. That's very doable with just a few modifications. You can do that. And you're not going to starve. You're not going to starve at all, because what you should be doing is replacing those carbs with fats. If you have a little bit more fat in your diet and probably you are not eating enough protein. I'm not sure about you, but I've been told that the ideal amount of protein that you want to be having per day is, think about what your ideal body weight is. So if your ideal body weight is 130 pounds or 150, whatever your ideal weight would be, depending on your height and all that, then you want to think about 0.75 to 1.1 per pound of body weight for a gram of protein. So for me, I like to make sure I'm getting in the like 75 grams of protein to 100 in that area. But sometimes I don't get enough, and I know that I'm hungrier when I'm not getting enough protein. Eat some really good vegetables. Just because something's natural doesn't mean it's necessarily the best thing for you to eat, especially if you're trying to cut back and you're trying to make a difference in your overall health. But the good fats are things that are from nature. They are not from a factory. So I don't want to go into seed oils and all that today. It's too much to talk about. But what are the good oils? Olive oil, butter, believe it or not, butter, coconut oil, avocado oil. Those oils are some of the good oils because they're not created in a factory. They're food-based. Now, some of you will say sunflower oil and all that other stuff. That's a whole different conversation because it's all factory made. So that's something if you can, you want to try to just stick with the good fats. And carbohydrates, believe it or not, are not an actual food category that is required because you need a balanced plate, that you had to have some kind of starch every meal. It's not true. What you do need from carbohydrates is you need some of the vitamins and minerals, but you get a lot of that from meat. And so you want to focus on the really good vegetables what you want to try to avoid are the vegetables that come from under the ground. That's kind of a simple rule, but I like that rule because it makes it easy for me. Even carrots come from under the ground, and carrots, a really good carrot, is very sweet. So I eat carrots, but I don't eat them all the time. I just eat them sometimes. It just depends on what else I'm combining for my meal. But the really good vegetables are the ones that are above ground. And as my husband used to call them, the rabbit foods, the lettuce and spinach and, all that stuff. But also broccoli and Brussels sprouts. The one caveat that I would say is not a good vegetable to eat above ground is corn, but it's very sweet. And I hate to say it, but fruits are the same way. I love fruits. Like my favorite fruit is pineapple, and I never eat it anymore because it literally is a sugar bomb. As you can tell by some of these beautiful fruits, like the watermelon, that was kind of a big surprise. But the berries and the lemons and limes and even apples, some sorts of apples are okay. You just don't want to go crazy with apples because they can have a lot of sugar because of the way that they're created now. So that's kind of what you want to think about is make sure you're getting adequate protein, enough fat, and the carbs coming from vegetables, not from pastas and breads and all that stuff. Those things are, you can still have some of those on a low carb diet, but like if I have a poached egg, and I love poached eggs on toast, it is my favorite. It's like a really fun breakfast. I don't have it very often because one slice of toast, even a really good bread, like a really, whole grain bread and everything, one slice of toast is like 18 carbs. So when I think about 18 carbs times two, what is that? 36 carbs? 36 carbs just because you're having, eggs on toast. You're using up like half your carbs for the day practically on that. So you really need to kind of think about where you're gonna expend those carbs if you're gonna do a low carb diet. So what's the best way? Honestly, I love my phone because I just use my phone. I just type in how many carbs are in this or how many carbs are in that. And knowledge is power, when I see how many carbs are in it, it makes me stop and think, yeah, I'm probably not going to eat that. Okay, this is where part one has to end because it just is so much information. It was impossible to put both diets into the same video. So I hope you've gotten enough out of the low carb diet to see that it's a really good stair step to move into the ketogenic diet. But you actually, if you get results on the low carb diet, you might not want to go to the ketogenic diet because the ketogenic diet is harder. It's even lower carb and there's more involved with that. So in a couple of days, I will be posting another video that talks about the ketogenic diet and its benefits. So thank you for spending time with me today, and I really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to my video. That would be such a big help. And I hope you have a wonderful day and create your own amazing wellness life.